Yeah, I do. Need some waters. begin this week's service the same way we always do, taking a moment of silent reflection, thinking about what the last week has been like, the highs, the lows, what you like to carry with you into Shabbat, and what you'd like to leave behind. And if there's something happening in your life that you'd like to bring into this room, we'd like to hear it. Go ahead, Kay.
We have hot water, we have water actually, and hot water and heat. Our hot water heater, after 27 years, finally died.
That's a long life for a water heater.
Very long. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was 20, because the plumber found the date on it.
27 years.
27 years. And I'm here to tell you, if you want to do gratitudes, be grateful for
Grateful for hot water. I hear you.
The furnace is a hot water system, so when we had to turn the it didn't have a shut-off valve, by the way.
Ooh.
So we had no water, no heat.
No water, no heat. Well, Mazel Tov, I'm so glad that you have a brand new. May he live for another 27 years. Yes. Dick, you have something?
Yes, it's great to be back in the snow.
Oh, great. Yes. Boo! Right.
Second of all, the reason we were back is my grandson became an Eagle Scout.
Wow.
And we attended a court of honor.
Wonderful.
We had to him, so it's quite a big event.
Well, an Eagle Scout. That's wonderful. Well, congratulations. Who else? Someone had it. Oh, Marie, go ahead.
So, I hope all of you have seen on the back of the Board of Service the announcement of the World Zionist Congress in your the Sunday email. I hope everybody will consider voting for the reform slate, which I am a member of the slate. So a vote for the slate will be a vote for me.
Yeah. So I'll just repeat that for the camera, in case I didn't pick it up, that Maury is heading a slate for the World Zionist Congress, and that we need to be voting for the reform slate to encourage our liberal presence, or Jewish liberal presence in Israel. Go ahead.
Over the last 2 weeks, Larry and I have attended 3 of the movies for the Jewish Film Festival.
Yeah.
And they've all been really great, and we've enjoyed it. It felt very Jewish while we were there. And it's going on, I believe, 3 more weeks, so there's still lots of movies to see. They're all over the city.
Wonderful.
Pretty inexpensive.
So I'm going to do that again. So they attended 3 of the movies in the Jewish Film Festival. It's going on for several more weeks, and encouraged to go to that. Anything else on this side? Okay. Go ahead, Esther.
2 things. One, I got a call on my way over here. Jeannie Rosen, who was in Florida, was walking the dog, and, she's in the hospital. She will have surgery tomorrow to replace her hip, total hip replacement. And she says she's really banged up. And she lost her balance because 2 dogs attacked.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's her son. And so Winston's fine, but Jeannie's a mess. And also, on a better note, on Sunday before the game, from 1 to 2:30, if you live in the 2nd Congressional District, I hope you will join me at my house to meet Nikki Foster. She is, some of you met her at the Molanders. She's a very impressive young woman. And so she's running, hopefully, to be our current ineffective representative.
Thanks, Esther.
My house, 1 to 2:30 Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther. Thank you for that. Anyone else on this side? No? Oh, Monica, go ahead.
Ira and I finished cleaning out and organizing his garage. It is now open, and he won't get evicted.
Well, those are 2 good things. I'm so glad. Glad. Anything else here? Go ahead, Peggy.
Next to what everybody else has said, this probably isn't as big of a deal, but I went back to my maiden name, which ironically has only 1 more L than my married name did. But, so it doesn't seem like a big change, but I'm now Peggy Segal.
Peggy Segal. Well, Mazel Tov on your new old name. That's awesome. I think that is a big deal. Congratulations. Well, that's so great. Anything else coming in here? Okay, do we have any guests here who are in our physical space that like to introduce themselves?
Jane Clages, and I'm here to celebrate my great friend Mark.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Lucky to have him. He's an incredible musician.
We know. We know. Thank you. So glad you're here.
1985.
1985? That's awesome.
We were 2 or 3 years old.
Do you want to introduce yourself? Sure.
Hi, my name is Suita. It's very nice to meet everyone. It's actually my
Second
second time here.
time here. Well, glad you're here. Good. Thank you for being here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say for all of you who organized the little party last night for Mark, it was just really, really lovely.
It was amazing.
And it was a really nice place, and it wasn't too noisy, because I usually don't like going to bars.
We know our bars. Yes.
And it was just really nice.
I'm glad you're there. Thank you. So for those of you who are joining us online, even though you're not part of our physical space, which almost every seat in the space is full, some standing room even, and but we know that you're on the other side of that camera. We're glad that you're joining with us. I know that Jay is tuning in from Hawaii for his father's yard site, and so we honor that you're part of this, and just a big hello to everyone online. So before we go into the lighting of candles, we're going to do most of our service up on the screen, but I'll be shouting out the page numbers in your prayer book too. And the biggest change of tonight is that we're honoring Mark. 30 years of Mark. He doesn't want me to embarrass him, so I'm just going to embarrass him for like 2 minutes now, and then 2 minutes later. That we all know that a lot of what brings us into this space is the music and the sound of what it feels like to pray, and the most consistent presence in spiritual leadership in this congregation. The longest standing spiritual leader is Dr. Mark Bailey. So we're honoring him for being our spiritual leader and our guide, and we're going to sing a lot of his tunes tonight. So if it feels a little different, you'll be like, oh, that's a Mark. So sing loudly on those. So I just wanted to celebrate a great man with a great sense of, oh, that wasn't Purim, that was like yesterday. And so we will end our service tonight with a special l'chaim toast, but it is alcohol-free, so don't worry, l'chaim with that. And you already probably noticed that we upped our food game tonight exceptionally. Marianne Rubin handmade, right? All of that, and so it's incredible. Turned 30 years more often, Mark. And actually, she's the one who made sure that we had the special Shabbat for Mark. She'd been asking us for about 9 months. When are you doing this? When are you doing this? And Mark and I were like, we don't know. So thank you for that. So in that spirit and energy, we'll begin by welcoming Shabbat with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. It's page 2 and 3 in your prayer book. And I welcome up Ava, Dawn, and Donna to light the Shabbat candles.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with mitzvot and command us to kindle the lighting of Shabbat. We're supposed to read this first one. Are we? Just together? Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Shabbat shalom.
Oh, hear my
Mark, quite some time ago when we realized that you were going to be celebrating 30 years with Temple Sholom, I came up to you and congratulated you. I also said, you know, Mark, I'm your biggest fan. After your face kind of got rid of the blush, you said, thank you, Marion. But it occurred to me that I never told you why I'm your biggest fan. Mark, every Friday night when we come to services and you begin to play, I can't tell you the special feeling that I get inside. You put such joy and pleasure into your music. The playing, the singing, and some of the tunes that are light and lively. I see you kind of bopping your head a little bit while you're playing. It's just so meaningful to you, which makes it special to us. With Rabbi Turlin-Champ leading us in prayer and you leading us in music, it doesn't get any better than that. Congratulations on 30 years, and we hope you'll be with us for another 30.
So Mark specifically asked to sing this particular song. It's called Hachnasat Orchim, and it's based on the obligation of welcoming the stranger. It's a mitzvah. And Mark felt, I'm speaking for you here, that if he could pick one song that embodied Temple Sholom, that this was the song. So you'll see it's very catchy and bring it to the space. Let there be no strangers in our midst. Let there be no fear. Here we love our neighbors as ourselves. All are welcome here. Masot Orchim, we are welcome, we are loved. Hachnasat Orchim, we are holy, we are one. Let the scared and lonely find a home. Let there be no fear. Here all people find an open door. All are welcome here. Hachnasat Orchim, we are welcome, we are loved. Hachnasat Orchim, we are holy, we are one. Oh, who love, who dream the world's anew. Let there be no fear. Sister, brother, those of every age, all are welcome here. Hachnasat Orchim, we are welcome, we are loved. Hachnasat Orchim, we are holy, we are one.
I was given a time limit. I'm going to try. But I'm trying to also relive about 30 years here, maybe 25. So first, just a few memories. And if you want to know more than this, I'm not going to tell the whole story. Come see me later. We remember termites in the choir area.
Sounds like the name of a song.
It ate all the music, so I really don't know. We remember explaining that the balance of the choir was better with the men in front. We remember that. We remember our own pet names for songs like Sue Sharim and Crowned King. We remember that I used to sit next to a guy named Morris, who was a Cuban Jew. So every time you called out the number of the song, I would call that out in Spanish. You remember those days? We, of course, remember Bill Boniface's great puns all the time. And our discussion that we actually continued this evening, that great Jewish art form, American musical theater. We talked about that a lot for the last 30 years. And, of course, the times that Mark really is very directive. He wants to have control, and the choir is sometimes not paying attention. So we tried various methods of getting the choir to all stand up at the same time. And our favorite was the flashlight, right? He would flash it, we would pay no attention at all. So Mark came to us 25 years ago and may have spent the first, and I wasn't there all the time at the beginning, spent the first couple of years saying, now, what's the meaning of this prayer? What is it about? And then we would then spend some time discussing the meaning and how to present it. And now he's telling us the meaning of prayers and how to present the prayers, because he knows them better than we do. And in fact, as you can see this evening, he is not only knows the prayers well enough that he puts them in their own appropriate settings and has become a composer of liturgy in his own right after 25, 30 years of being with us. So he now tells us, and he prays with us. I don't know if you've noticed, but at times when it comes to the mourner's Kaddish and things like that, he's right there with us. So he knows this better than we do for sure. As a leader, many years ago, I started thinking about what makes a great director and great leader in various different, coaching stories and leadership stories. First, a backhanded compliment that Mark gives me in this area. Mark is an excellent technical musician, that's obvious. So once or twice a year, he comes upon a song which is very loose in its structure and rhythm and tonality and is much more folk-oriented. And he says, I can't follow. No? This has no technical thing at all, so I expect you to do it. and I don't know if you know this, but for the last 30 years, he has always spent time every Friday night making sure there's enough new and enough traditional in the service to make sure that you people feel variety as well as feel comfortable and at home in every service. So he spends time thinking about that. And last but not least, here's the coaching story, the technical story about Mark. Is about 5 years ago, I realized what his skill is. He works with people of various different levels of technical ability, from people with none to people with a great deal. But I've never spent one session with him in which I didn't walk away with something that improved me as a musician, as a performer. And I'm sure that's true of everybody who's ever worked with Mark.
With that, we welcome Shabbat with Lachadodi on page 20 with verses 1, 2, 5 and rising with 9. Lachadodi likrat kala, Nei Shabbat nekala. 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 Shamoy v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litzila. Lechadodi, Lechadodi likrat kala, Nei Shabbat nekala. Lechadodi likrat kala, Nei Shabbat nekala. Likrat Shabbat lechuven elcha, Ki hi mekor habaracha, Meherosh miketem nesucha, tzilam. Lecha todi likrat kalam. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha todi likrat kalam. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Toreri, toreri, kiva orek, umi ori, uri, uri, shir taberi, kivur Adonai Allah yichnigla. Lecha toti likrat kalam, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha toti likrat kalam, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. V'oli b'shalom ata ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola. Toch emunei am segula, b'li chala, b'li chala. Lecha toti likrat kalam, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha toti likrat kalam, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. We remain standing as we continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 26. Yitkara v'kara shmei Rabba, v'yamad yivrach yirtzeh, v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayetzecho beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'zman kariv, v'yimeru. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam olam me'omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitzbar v'yitramam v'yitnasei, v'yitzadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei kedusha. Leila min kol brechata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Tamiram b'yama. Amen. We continue with our call to worship, page 28. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people, who can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and one. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories or in between place and place. We are crossed paths of memories and destination, streaks of light and swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on twilight. We continue with the watchword of our faith, Shema, page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, 26. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Okay. First of all, a great Mazal Tov to Mark. I go back a long ways. We joined here in '77. And I remember two prior choir directors that we had, one for a long time, one for a somewhat shorter time. And then Mark came. I was on the board at that time. And one of the memories that I'd like to share with you is that shortly after he started playing for our services, the board got a request, and it was really unusual. And what was unusual was that our new director asked if we could somehow find some way to provide him with some education in Jewish music. You probably remember that too, Noel. And of course we did. But it was, the reason it stuck in my mind was we had never been asked to do that before by any of the other two directors that I knew. There may have been somebody even earlier, I don't know. But in any case, I wanted to share that with you because I think, first of all, it was a wonderful moment for all of us. And if we didn't love him then, we fell in love then, all of us. And also, it gives you an idea of what kind of musician, what kind of a man Mark is, if you didn't already know. And the other one is a funny memory. My late husband, Bill Boniface, as Noah mentioned, was a very active member of the choir. And he observed Mark conducting, reading music, doing a number of other things, and at one point gave Mark a small statue of one of the many-armed Indian gods, the Hindu gods. And not because he thought he needed an idol or anything like that, but because the four-armed or eight-armed, however many arms there were, reminded him so much of Mark in action. And I just, before the service, I asked Mark if he remembered that, if he still had it, and he does. So, you know, it's the beautiful and the humorous and the deeply felt spirituality. Thank you, Mark.
Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
when Mark first came to Temple Shalom, I had been in the choir for over 10 years at that point. And we choir members, as you might imagine, we had a lot of questions about what our new director would be like. One thing you might not imagine is that one of the issues that we thought very important, particularly the female members of the choir, was the dress code. Our prior director was very firm about what the choir wore. We were to wear dark suits. The women in the choir were not particularly thrilled with this policy, but, you know. So during the rehearsals for the High Holy Days that year, one of the women, it wasn't even me, just asked him straight out, "What's the dress code?" And he said, "Dress code." So she went into a little more detail, and Mark said, "You can wear whatever color you want." So Rosh Hashanah came, and I showed up wearing a red dress. So did the soprano soloist. And so in memory of that, I very much enjoyed wearing a red dress to temple. So in memory of that, I wore a red shirt tonight. There have been many, many more and much more meaningful contributions that Mark has made to our choir besides loosening the dress code. And that's I would like to talk about one of them tonight. And it happened at what was a very dark time for us. It was at Temple Shalom. It was the period when we had no rabbi at all. And the very first choir Shabbat, I believe it was the first choir Shabbat during that period, when we were all in such a dark place, Mark showed up with a very special gift for the choir. He brought one of his own compositions, a brand new composition that he had composed for that week for us to sing. It was the ray of hope that we so badly needed, and I am forever grateful for that.
Okay, I'm just a choir groupie here, so I'm not going to have choir direct stories and direct experience in the choir. But I did have a couple of observations, and Mark's a very good friend, so I wanted to say a couple of words. Number one, the thing that's always impressed me about Mark is his musicality and his talent in arranging and composing. I think it's probably one of those things that really isn't well understood in our community, because what he's managed to do over the years is ease it in, because there was a lot of resistance over the years to change in this synagogue. Imagine that. And I think if you looked at what we performed when he first came on versus what we do now, it is a major, major change, and he continues to modernize and innovate in Jewish music for us, despite his two other day jobs. And that's the second part of this. I think many of you know I'm not Jewish, although I've been pretty active in the synagogue, and I consider this my religious and spiritual community. But I do need my dose of Christianity occasionally. And I really appreciate Mark inviting me to participate at the St. Xavier Midnight Mass. He talked Marcy into singing it, so we had the Jewish girl singing Midnight Mass at a very large Catholic church. And what I saw there was the admiration and how well loved he was in that community as well. So I'm so happy, Mark, you're able to share and stay with us while you're being shared elsewhere and split your time. And by the way, the Midnight Mass, if you want a good musical performance, if you can tolerate a little Christianity, is awesome. It really is. And I'm really curious about what the Christian Science music is about, but I won't ask right now. I want to hear this because he also does Christian Science as well. But thank you, Mark, for all your service and your friendship. and it's been awesome to have you for 30 years. And one last thing, our prior director, as I mentioned to Mark before he joined, Rick Yagi, actually gave an online donation in honor of Mark as well, so that's really cool. Yeah.
So we're in this space of love, and we brought in so much welcoming and joy, and it's unusual to be in this sort of high space all of the time. And I also want to acknowledge that it hasn't been like that for all of us this week. It's not like that necessarily for all of us in the country right now, and that there's these hard parts, and that our prayers are saying, we know it's not always easy. We know it's not always about the joy. We know it's not always about the rainbow. And yet through community and connectivity, there can be more love and therefore more strength and therefore more courage to face the darkness and the difficulties in this world. So in the spirit of that, we'll be singing Let There Be Love, the Hashkivenu prayer on page 43. So we're about to enter the Mark music zone, starting with a brand new original piece. I just heard it 2 minutes before services start with Vishamru. What you'll notice is that all the songs that Mark has composed, all from the liturgy, are all songs of peace and love. And that feels very fitting to weave these threads of love and peace throughout us, and to start with Vishamru, this prayer of acknowledging the joy in passing tradition from generation to generation, from decade to decade, just as we do this evening. So that we continue with Vishamru on page 44.
Oh
rise together for tefillah, beginning on page 46. Please be seated as we continue together on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. We continue with our prayer of abundant peace, Shalom Rav, on page 60. Shalom Rav Yisrael, Chachazim Le'olam, Ki Ata Melech Adon L'chol HaShalom, V'tov Beinecha Levarech et Amcha Yisrael, V'chol et ubachol sha'al Bishlom Recha, Shalom Rav Yisrael, Amcha Tzazim Le'olam, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Shalom. As we pray for peace and abundance in this world, we know that the first step to that peace and abundance and wholeness is healing in body and mind and spirit, as individuals, as families, as communities. So as we breathe into prayer, we think about those who are in hospital beds and nursing facilities, those in their own homes, about our friends enduring new challenges, about the people in our lives who are struggling with all kinds of difficult decisions about ourselves and the many choices that we have. We think of those struggling with addiction and deep grief. And we also bring into our prayers all those who remind us that healing is possible in the world. The doctors and the nurses and the caregivers and the therapists and the pharmacists, the friends, family. If you'd like to mention someone who's in need of healing or mention your own name, please share those names now.
Sally Santoral, Yitzhak Shalhevet, his grandson Yahya, and his daughter Imbal, and their family.
Gary Friedman. Deborah Schwartz.
Nancy Stella, Sharon Sussman.
Jeannie Rosen. Ruth David. Becky Morris. Arnie Brown.
Peggy Titus.
Kelly David Jacobin.
Lucas Braden and Storm Hannon.
Arlene Ryan.
Judy Avner, Jackson Bachman, Sarah Backman, Mira Barner, Corinne Belford, Sheila Boniface, Diane Hauser, Loretta Hubbard, Chava Leah, Leonard Appel, Phyllis Epstein, Ken Goldman, Dr. Merrill Goldman, Jerry Goodwin, Charles Gutman, Judith Gutman, Ethan Kadish, Gita Knudsen, Skylar Kuntz, Yael Kraus, Lee Krinick, Elaine Heitfield, Tony Janidis, Ira Lerner, Grayson Malkin, Jean-Marcel Lefebvre, Lou Levy, Joan Lieb, Barry Levy, Marcy Maxwell, Ellie Mendelson, Rhoda Meyer, Barb Paris, Eileen Ness, Nancy Newmark, Phil Ryan, David Rose, Bob Rubin, Ira Shum, Archbishop Chuck Smith, Mary Capoletti Stanton, Lisa Steele, Fran Sternberg, Mahaya Stoneman, Chaim Ben Yaakov and Nechama, Chava Nesia Bat Chaya Yisraela, Rejan Lusberg. We include everyone we mentioned out loud, those we hold in our hearts, and all of us in this room as well on a journey towards healing in some way. If you want to follow along with us, we're page 253. Misha berach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, v'yivarech et acholim ha'eleh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimalei rachamim aleihem, l'hachli imam v'chan l'hazikam, v'yishlach lahem aher refuah shlema min hashamayim, refuat ha'nefesh, refuat ha'guf, hashta b'galav v'zman kariv, v'nomar.
Bless the ones before us.
take a brief moment of silence for personal prayers.
You have a very wise rabbi. Thank you for this invitation. The cool thing about it is it gives you a chance to look back and think about the effect of a person on your life. And I can think back to several times in my life when, there was a fork in the road. We all have them. And Mark was at a lot of them. It's surprising, actually, when I had a chance to think about it. So sometimes we don't take the time to thank the people when we're with them. So, I really appreciate this opportunity to kind of go back over. So since I was 18, I've never not been a music director or a singer or a soloist somewhere. And so I don't have a lot of freedom. So this is one of my last gigs that I really keep. I look forward every year to Yom Kippur and the High Holy Days with you guys. I think I've done that 25 years with you now. I absolutely look forward to it, and I worship with you. I love doing it. I so appreciate that you keep inviting me. And that's not a pressure. I hope I come back again. But I really appreciate it. At one point or another, I've brought all of my children through here at one point or another and had them sing, and it's just been really wonderful. So thank you for inviting me and giving me a chance to think that. I think back in the roads, like the most important choir joke I ever learned was from Mark. And I use it for all my choirs. It's like, how many choir directors does it take to change a light bulb? No one knows, because no one watches the choir director. That is the most important choir joke I've ever heard, and I use it all the time. So thank you very much for that. And yes, organists are very strange people. Mark is a very strange person. I like the Hindu God thing. Organists, they have to be able to do this thing and do this and play all at the same time. It's really amazing. I first met Mark at Chris Miller's house. I think it was about 30 years ago. I was in the Cincinnati Camerata, and we did music together, and that's where I first met you. And then I think you asked me to sing for a couple of things, and before we knew it, you were the organist at Pleasant Ridge, and I was the assistant director there for a few years under John Lehman. Wow, what an opportunity! I got to be assistant director under one of the finest choral directors alive. He had more choir ability in his pinky than most people do in their whole body. It was amazing. So that was because of you. Thank you for that. And then I got to, I feel like I'm a real Jew because of you. I got to be with these people for all these years. So that's another really wonderful thing in my life. When I look back at my life, I see how much I would never have met Marcy. I already knew Bob from work, but I got to meet Marcy and Noel. And, I get to have great conversations on Facebook with Noel. I wouldn't have this. And, being in leadership, I model a lot of what I do in leadership because what I see you guys do. Dude, you even do the bathrooms right. It's amazing. I couldn't believe when you sold the other building and you came over here. It was amazing. So anyway, I've got a long list, but I'm going to keep to my 2 minutes because, I'm probably already past. I guess if you were going to put a theme on my words, I would say, if I hadn't known Mark. Right? If I hadn't known Mark. There's so many things. I wouldn't meet a cool rabbi who wears tennis shoes at the High Holy Days. I wouldn't think of myself as a Jew if I hadn't met Mark. That's pretty cool. I think I wouldn't know Hebrew if I didn't know Mark. I wouldn't have researched it and spent all that time. So maybe I'll just leave it at that. I guess you could think of it like a Rosetta Stone. You touched me to many places in my life and enriched my life, and of course then my family is also better. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to welcome Karen Kaplan to share some brief announcements. As she's walking up, I just want to thank Dr. Mark Bailey, and also Chuck is in the corner here, but yes, this is the amazing Chuck, and we thank you for giving us your amazing Mark for all of these years and all of your Fridays. To Marion and Bob for incredible oneg and for lifting us and encouraging us to celebrate this way. To our choir for always lifting us in this way. And to our incredible staff, especially to Marta and to Julie and to Jenny, who worked hard to make all these different elements possible. Bob for being our cameraman. And then Micah, I took you off this because he wasn't supposed to be here today. He had an emergency in Columbus and he rushed back just so he could make this possible for us. So that's huge. Karen's going to share some announcements, and she also made this incredible stole that I'll never take off. I know. To Ava and to Donna for lighting the candles, and Jerry for being our usher. It was difficult today. And just before she goes to these announcements, I want to remind you that we have our assistant rabbinic candidate coming in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We need your opinion. We need your read on this new rabbi. It's really exciting to be at the stage of growth that we need another full-time clergy person. So if you can be at something, to try to be there that way. And just so you know, we actually have 4 other phone interviews on Sunday itself. So there are many choices, but we really like this guy. So we're hoping you like him too, and if you don't, I want to know that too. So Marcy's your person to talk to about your feelings. And pleased to give that feedback. So I welcome Karen up to share some brief announcements.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi, very much. She wasn't supposed to tell you that I made that, but that was our little secret.
I'm so excited.
So thank you. It was fun. So on the back of your order of service, thank you, are the announcements, and we've already heard about the Zionist election and about the rabbinic options. Coming in and meeting the rabbinics, but there's a couple other things on here that I do want to bring attention to. Of course, the Kiddush. There's a Bluegrass Shabbos coming up on Valentine's Day. That sounds interesting. And the other thing is that I want to point attention to also is the Mishloach Manoat. I just say that because it's fun. But the Mishloach Manot is coming up. Please get your orders in, and there'll be lots of goodies in it for you. So that's really important thing for Temple. And if everyone will join me, I'm not very good at jokes. John's there, but I do have to say that this has been a delightful service, and it's really been wonderful watching all the tributes to there. However, I don't know how you're still working while they're all making these tributes to you. Right? You know, there's something wrong about that. Why is he working?
Yes.
Anyway, let's all read the prayer for our community together, please. I know, I'm like, he's working, and everyone's saying all these wonderful things about him. Okay, together. May Adonai, the source of life, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless this entire congregation of Temple Shalom, together with the synagogues in Cincinnati and all holy congregations in this world. Bless our community, our children, our families, and all that is in theirs, along with those who unite to establish synagogues for prayer and those who enter them to pray, those who devote countless hours of their lives so that our synagogue may be a thriving place of spiritual welcome. May the Holy One reward those who contribute to our community with healing, forgiveness, and personal strength. May God bless them by prospering all their worthy endeavors, as well as those of the entire people of Israel. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
And thank you again.
Thank you.
Like they're making tributes and he's working.
No, Mark's is like the Shabbos guy. It's a joke, wasn't it? We don't have to stand for this. We'll just read the English together. It's the last part of Aleinu on 286. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech. And may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and peace. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. We mourn the recent passing of Devorah Weinberger, aunt of Barbara Paris, of Arnold Applebaum, brother of Phyllis Fine, and Paul Kolbach, the brother of Marion Rubin. We commemorate the yardsides, the anniversaries of the passing of Toby S. Feidler, Rose Lizak, Lawrence Warm, Hyman Kersner, Dr. Donna Jean Levy, Simon Strauss, Robert Goldman, Frederick Letterby, Robert Krennick, Tim Mathis, Carol Mathis Pfeister, Natalie Buca, Roy M. Zola, Jacob Mendelson, Edward Lurie, Kenneth Tuchel, Anna Cohn, Raymond M. Boniface, Kurt Baum, Lucille Scott, Joel Newberg, Scylla Rothenberg, Hannah Grossman, Lee Meyer, Shirley Himes, and Max Wolfson. If there are names you'd like to repronounce or share new ones, please share those names now. If you are in mourning or commemorate a yard site, please rise first. We acknowledge you. We mourn with you. As we rise together as a community of comfort for all those we mentioned out loud, those we hold in our hearts, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, as we continue on page 294 with our words of affirmation. Yitkadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirete v'amlich machlute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye decho be'Yisrael, v'agalau v'izman kariv imru. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Leolam Omei Omaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitba'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitale V'Yitalal Shmei Gidusha Le'ela Min Kol Rechata V'Shirata Tishbechata V'Nechemata Damiram B'Alma V'Imru Yehei Shlam Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chaim aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru. Osei shalom b'imromav, u'ya'aseh shalom. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated. What we're going to do is we're going to pass out our sparkling juice. So it's all juice tonight, but it's pretty. And challah. So as that's coming out, you can grab it. And when everyone has a glass, we'll take that. And Mark, last night we gave you, he brought it back so he could show you all because he knew you'd want to see it. So we got him this beautiful little crystal clock, the passage of time with gratitude and love for 30 years at Temple Sholom. And the other thing we wanted to give you, Donna, we have another artist in the midst. So one of Donna's pieces here, and it's a colorful piece that just says love, 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 love in Hebrew there. So we thought this was you, and it's just awesome to have an incredible artist in our piece. But isn't that beautiful? Like this for him. I'll put it here for you. Okay. Yeah, does that feel right? So actually, Mark asked this question. So we're going to do a blessing over the wine, and then we're going to do a shehechianu. And he asked, he's like, can I say my own shehechianu? And the answer is yes. You can always say it for yourself and for others. But really, it's about celebrating the moment that you're in and acknowledging that it's joyful and you're lucky for it and you are blessed by the people who are part of that. And so that's each of us in this room. So we'll first do the blessing over, do we know how to, they have to share some glasses? It's like that means there was more than we could have imagined. So we'll do the blessing over wine and bread, and then we will do a l'chaim and then shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. You can drink and then the bread will come around. That looks like a special bread. So that looks like an Ann Newberg, Joel Newberg recipe bread. So in honor of Joel Newberg's second yard site here, it looks like Ann made a special challah. You definitely want grabsies on that one. It's really good. So in the spirit of joy and memory and possibility, we do a quick l'chaim. It just means to life, to life. So let's do a big l'chaim for Mark. L'chaim! There's that.
To life, to life.
Okay. You did something. Thank you.
That's all we know.
Just go over.
Lazman hazeh.
No saying, okay. Keeping to himself. So we're not going to go to Shul and Fuel because there's so much food out there. So before you go out to continue to eat, if you can connect to one another to receive a blessing, if you're not a toucher, just say, no thanks, I'm not a toucher. If you're online, you can put your hands out. Whatever it feels like in this moment to be able to receive blessing. May God bless you and keep you. May Adonai's face shine upon you, be gracious unto you. And when God's face shines upon you, may it remind you of tonight that the years are long, and it's the relationship that holds you together through difficult times and joyful times so that you can be who you are, because the world needs you. It needs your courage, your strength, and your love exactly as you are. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.